Hi everyone and welcome back to The Rush. Bullying has become a hot topic over the past few years because, of course, here in Vancouver, the Amanda Todd story and suicide hit home with a lot of parents and a lot of kids. And I originally met Constable Tad MILMINE at an anti-bullying event shortly after Amanda Todd's suicide. He is with the Surrey RCMP and he has a great website, and I don't even know, it's beyond what you do, is taking over your whole life. It's called Bullying Ends Here. Tad, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me in.
And you know, when I first met you, Tad, you spoke at this event, and I actually didn't really know much about why we had an RCMP officer there. I thought you were just going to address the group and maybe give us some ideas of who people can contact, but I had no idea that bullying was such a huge part of your life. Maybe you can explain how you got involved with the anti-bullying movement.
Sure. Well, it's what happened was, it was at, towards the end of 2011, as I was every night. I lay in bed and I read the news and see what's happened around the country, and I saw this headline. It says, Ottawa teen takes his own life because of severe bullying, and I read this article, and it was all about a 15-year-old boy named Jamie Hubely. Lives in Ottawa, had been relentlessly bullied for years and years. At first it was because he was a figure skater and not you know, the stereotypical hockey player. And then towards grade 10 is when he came out as being openly gay, and the bullying was just relentless for all those years. Jamie you know, struggled for years and years, and at the age of 15 he just couldn't handle it anymore and took his own life. So when I was reading this article, and I realized how incredibly inspiring the story of Jamie was, and the things he tried doing prior to his passing, of just, you know, starting up a club, saying, listen, just come and give me a chance, come, you know, come and meet me. Something happened to me when I was done reading that article. I recognized that I didn't want to be that person anymore that's going to read headlines and hope that the world around me became better, but that I just, as a fellow human being, was at least going to try. I didn't know what it was going to look like, Fiona, but I knew that it was going to be for youth. So what I did is I emailed Jamie's parents, and I told them all about me and whom I represent, and that I just read this article, and I was paralyzed. I was frozen in my bed, but I was asking, would it be okay if from that day forward could I tell the world about their son, their boy named Jamie, and I received their permission. And next thing I did is I created the website that you alluded to earlier, and then I thought, okay, well, now I'm going to get out and I'm going to go talk to kids, thinking maybe a classroom a month just on my day off. And fast forward 14 months later, and I'm going all around the world. You know, the average size of an audience is anywhere from 1,000 to 2,500, and it's incredible.
And it is a worldwide epidemic, it seems, bullying,
yeah, it really
because
is.
The internet, social media plays such a huge role in stories like whether it's Jamie or Amanda Todd. How do you address the kids on how they should handle themselves in the world that we live in today?
It's basically, my message is very simple, that if you're the person that is the victim, the person that all this negativity is coming upon, that it's so vitally important that you reach out, you talk, you tell someone what's going on, because as the people surrounding that individual, we don't know what's in their mind, we don't know how they've interpreted something online from the night before, we don't know what's happened in secrecy in the hallways, because bullying is, of course, very secret, that it's important that they reach out to somebody. Just give us a chance. You know, you have to tell us. But then I'm also to the other people that know full well what's going on. They're the ones that are reading, you know, the internet at night. They see what's happening, but they're not reaching out. They're not saying anything because they think, oh, that's not my problem. You know, that person will take care of their own problems.
Or they don't want to get involved.
They don't want to get involved. And that's where I'm hoping that my educational part of just sharing stories, because I'm not there to tell anyone what to do. I just share my story. I share Jamie's story, and then the whole, it's important that you reach out and be that hero. Just be their voice. Let someone know. You don't have to be involved. Tell that adult that, listen, like, don't use my name, but here's what I saw, or here's a screen capture that I took from last night's internet social media chat that I saw.
You know what's going on.
That's right, and let the adult take care of it from there.
How do you tell your story to these kids? When I first heard your story, Tad, I was blown away by what you went through. And you know, the fact that you're willing to share this, it goes to show that being open and talking about things is part of dealing with all of this, perhaps getting some healing for teenagers so they don't hit this level. But maybe you can walk us through how you present yourself to these kids when you go to a school to talk.
Well, The way it happens is, first off, the youth know absolutely nothing about me. All they know is I'm just a guy named Tad that has come in.
And you don't go in your uniform?
I am not in uniform. I do not represent the RCMP. This is solely my own project on my own time. So when I stand in front of the audience, in fact, it's quite common that the youth don't even know that I'm there to speak about bullying. They just know some guy is going to start talking to us, and they see there are no videos or anything on those lines. So, you know, I kind of break the ice a little bit. I tell them about my name. I tell them growing up in Southern Ontario. But then I share with them that I know exactly what it's like to be them, and the way I'm going to prove that is I'm going to tell them all about me. So as you said, I throw my heart and soul out there, everything. It's not something I ever planned that I would do, but I started doing. So I share about being that 5-year-old little boy who had a dream that I wanted to grow up to be a police officer, who at that time in my life, I was horrifically introverted. It's just terribly introverted. I was so shy that I couldn't make friends. I would cry all the time. And then I had my personal life at home where, you know, I grew up in a broken home. In that home, I had an alcoholic father who's still kind and loving. It wasn't that he turned into a monster, did bad things. It's just a matter of that he wouldn't address any problems when they came up. And for me, the challenges were that he married an individual that didn't like me and did some pretty cruel things as I was growing up. And so my dad wasn't there to defend me. He would just come to the little boy and just say, you know, just ignore her, while she's screaming and calling me names and putting me down and I'm crying. That he'd just come to me and tell me, you know, just ignore her, just ignore her. So that went on over and over, and then that was at home. So when I went to school, the kids found out that I cried a lot, and they loved it. So what they would do is they would taunt me, and it would make me cry.
So you were getting it at home and you were getting it
That's
at
right.
school.
Yeah, and it was just, finally for me, it was at the age of 17. I was in the darkest place possible. I was suicidal. I was depressed. I was down and out. I didn't have anything to look forward to, but there's just that one opportunity that came, and for me, that was, I ran away. It wasn't something I planned. It was something that just spur of the moment. It happened at that time, and I ran away, and I turned myself into the person that I am today over many years with a lot of help and talking and communicating, and now I'm a little bit more extroverted than I was many years ago. That's right.
At what point do you reveal to the students that you are a cop?
I tell them when I'm going through the sequence of me being that 5-year-old boy having the dream, towards the end of high school, I was under the same pressure of, you know, what are you going to do when you're done school, that type of thing. But for me, I always knew I was going to be a police officer, so I was fine, except that I didn't end up applying. I didn't look into it because I thought that dreams are just meant to be dreamt. I didn't know you're supposed to achieve them, so I never looked into it. Fast forward to the age of 32 years old when a chance encounter with a police officer in a positive way from my baseball team, and I said to him, you know, what do you do for work? And he says, oh, I'm a police officer, and I shared, that's my dream. And he said, you know what, you should get out and just try. Just try to apply and see what happens. So I did apply, and it did. And that's exactly how it's coming out. So then eventually I shared that I achieved my dream because I tried. And I am that police officer now, and that's when you can just see the little heads in there just in amazement of recognizing that no matter how dark your days are, there's still that light at the end of the tunnel. If you just reach out, if you just try. You know, it's.
And you also reveal in your talks that you're an openly gay police officer.
That's right.
What reaction do you get from the students? Because in high schools, there are so many kids that don't know how to deal with that with their friends or with themselves.
Absolutely.
Why do you reveal that to the students?
Well, first off, I don't reveal it until about 45 minutes into the presentation, and the reason why I do hasn't really anything to do with me. It's more just sharing with youth continually in the presentation of reinforcing the fact that I do know what it's like to be them. I have something unique about myself as well. That's the fact that I am gay. And that to me is my favorite part of the presentation because it only lasts 30 seconds. That's the only part of the presentation. It's about sexuality, but the little heads in there just pop up and they look at me, and I've had standing ovations, I've had rounds of applause, I've had the woohoo in the back of the room. It's incredible. It really is. But I can't pretend to say that I know what it's like to be a youth today because that was something I held deep inside. I didn't tell anyone until I was 25, and now youth are, you know, they feel it's because it is a different world. They feel it's important to start sharing their sexuality, you know, as early as grade 7, and you know, so I do get emails in regards to that, but it's something that I make it very clear I can't offer advice because it's something that it's unique to you and your own situation, and only you will know when the time is right to come to terms with yourself.
Why do you do this all on your own time, going all over the world speaking? What do you hope to achieve with Bullying Ends Here?
I want the world to be a better place. Exactly what Jamie tried doing. It's something happened to me that night when I read the article. Still to this day, it's just recognizing that the last thing Jamie wanted to do is just be accepted for whom he is. And it wasn't just about sexuality, it was just about who he is. You know, give me a chance. Just come and say hi. See that I'm no different than anyone else. And I guess the stars in my life were aligned. I recognize that I am in a position nowadays that I can get out there and I can at least try. And I can tell you, Fiona, it's working. I don't pretend to solve the world's issues, because it's not like that.
But if you can save one kid, you've done something.
And that's exactly what I set out to do, was just to save that one person that's in the school that is today's Jamie, that is right there, but still with us. It's not too late. And, you know, it's on the website, I have many successes that are outlined on there, but I've received to date 24 emails from adults stating that because of the presentation, their child or their student's life is now saved. It's and the
Because they
reason
talked about it.
that's exactly what it is. They reached out afterwards. They recognize they're not alone, and that's ultimately that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be the person that I did not feel like I had growing up. I want to be the person that they recognize they can turn to, they can talk to. But I'm not alone. I represent everybody, but I just happen to have the honor of having the hour of throwing my heart and soul out there and trying to connect.
Well, we have a few questions for you from our audience.
Wonderful.
We have Dom on the social media desk. Dom, what is our first question for Tad?
Our first question, we're talking about, is there a difference the way people are being bullied nowadays? Like, we're talking about sexting and social media. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, right now we kind of have a separation between adults and youth, because as adults, yes, we had bullying going through school, but for us, when we went home, the bullying was over because we didn't have social media. We were safe. The bullying was over for a day. So we always kind of had set hours or days of the week that bullying took place. But when we fast forward to today's youth, it doesn't end. It's like they go home and it's the new layer of bullying, where it's the 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no such thing as holidays, where they're being inundated nonstop. If it's not through their cell phone, it's going to be through a social media website, whether it be Facebook, you know, Ask FM, all these types of things. And it's very negative, and it just keeps compounding itself to the point that it gets out of control, and youth are afraid to speak up, thinking that it's a sign of weakness, or it's only going to make it worse. You know, I mean, I've heard everything, but the important thing is reaching out. So it's so much different today than what it was many years ago.
Okay, we have time for one more question, Dom.
And is your colleagues, your constable, are they part of it? Are they helping you?
They help me as far as supporting. It's they're terrific. All my colleagues that I work directly with, they've come out to see presentations. My supervisors have been out. The support around me is absolutely incredible. It's as far as the program is concerned, it's really because it's my story, and I'm throwing myself out there to the youth to message me directly through the website. So share your story. Tell me. It's in confidence. I won't share a word unless it's life-threatening. It's just between them and myself. So it's kind of challenging to try incorporating anyone else in, but they help me along. So I need all the help I can get sometimes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story once again, Tad. If you want to find out more, the website is BullyingEndsHere.ca. It is a great resource, tons of information, and of course you can also find out where Tad will be speaking, and you can get his contact info there. If you are being bullied, or if someone you know is, it is a great place to start. BullyingEndsHere.ca. Thanks again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more on The Rush right after this. Stay tuned.